Here we are at the beginning, but at the end of a work day, but I'm bringing you guys along, right? Where has Sam been? What has he been doing? What did he get into today? Well, you can kind of see it over my shoulders, but it's not gonna make much sense because you didn't see where it begins. That's in the beginning. So either way, let's jump in and begin at the beginning so you can see where it ends. Wow, that was stupid. My name is Sam and welcome back to Samcraft. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a shop vlog. I've got some major organization I need to do, or at least try to start. I need to add another shelf into my print farm to make room for more printers that are already waiting to be unboxed and set up. Spoiler, that doesn't happen today, only the shelf happens. But you'll see why, along with everything else that I gotta do to get to the point you see behind me, which is good enough for today. So without further ado, let's jump into it and start today's vlog. I think the first thing worth doing is a little bit of a walking shop tour in case you are not familiar with this space and have never seen it. This is my workshop. It's a 20-foot by 32-foot workshop space. I actually built this whole structure myself a couple of years ago, and it has worked out fantastically for my business. So you may notice some new stuff here, specifically this guy. This is the Eufy Mate UV printer. That is coming up very soon in a video, but otherwise it's not hugely different, other than the fact that things are really getting cluttered. Long-term viewers of the channel may notice that my print shelves are a little bit different orientation, specifically this 6-foot muscle rack and the other 6-foot. Also, there's an additional one there hidden behind stuff. But my point in that was to give myself basically a library feel. If I can have the printers face each other, make a walkway in the middle, this is a lot more condensed setup for 3D printers while still allowing me full flow and walking around the shop, and that is great. The name of the game here is how much can Sam fit in this box that he works out of, and turning the shelves that way has really made a huge difference. So what I want to do is assemble my other muscle rack. I've got one in the box that I want to put right here. I want to put it back to back with this shelf and allow me to add more printers that I already have, still in boxes, into the farm setup. But before I can do that, I've got to play whatever those games were as a kid, a little plastic thing, you move a piece to make a puzzle picture. That's what I gotta do in here, because this 4x8 foot work table needs to move, but before it can move, this 3x8 work table has got to go, as in getting out of the shop. The stuff that's on top of this table has got to have a home temporarily, so that table can come over, blah, 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 blah. You get the picture. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't know how long it's gonna take in reality, but don't worry. I will make this fast for you through the power of video editing. So the first thing to do is get my laser engraver and any kind of laser objects on top of this electric lifting rolling table and take them out of the print shop. That way I can have more room to move printers around in here. Then what I'm going to do is unload the Bambu Lab H2D, the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, the Bambu Lab P1S, and my commercial grade food dehydrator, which I use for filament drying. Got to get them off the table. Then I can try and get this table out of the shop and put it into, honestly, our carport, which is right outside, which is where our outdoor equipment parks, like tractor, lawnmower, stuff. That is going to go out there to become a workbench of sorts. Once that is done, and I clean up all the other stuff that is on the floor beneath that table, then I can work on dragging my 4-foot by 8-foot table over across the shop and put it into this space. Well, maybe about 30 to 45 minutes later, and I have myself a different layout. I still also have definitely some junky spaces and stuff really in my way, but the main goal, get the old table out, move the big table across the room, and make space to assemble my muscle rack, has been accomplished, and we can give ourselves a little congratulatory pat on our back for that one. And by we, I guess I mean me and you. You're here with me, although you ain't done nothing to help me out. That being said, my next step is to go ahead and open up this muscle rack shelf and put it right here on the back side of the one I already have with some printers on it. And just like that, there is another shelf in the Samcraft shop of shelves. This makes 7 that I have in total, although 6 are for 3D printers, and 1, this guy over here, is just for filament storage. Okay, you can kind of barely see it. It's right there. That's filament storage. It's a 6-foot muscle rack. It's currently holding 300 rolls of filament and still asking for more. So I like it. The next thing I need to do is make a decision, mainly because of these guys. The P1S, X1 Carbon, and H2D are precariously balanced on top of my Flexi Spot desk. They can't stay there, but I need to figure out, are they going over here to my 4x8 work table and living in that side of the shop still? Am I okay with giving up that much on my table? Or am I going to put them over here on the new shelf, even though they're going to be in the way very soon because I have more printers that I need to assemble and set up? Or what? There we go. Mini fridge is on the shelf. Well, I've got the H2D and the X1 Carbon sitting here. However, I think I need to swap their position. Mainly because the X1 Carbon has to be off the shelf this far from the wall because of that brace and the fact that when I open the AMS lid, it's got to be able to clear that. So I think if I move, or rather swap the two, that's going to allow me to snuggle them up a little bit more, but possibly, hopefully, fit the AMS2 unit for the H2D in between these guys. Nope. Phooey. Will it go sideways? I mean, I guess. Let's see if that still opens. Yeah, that's no convenient. Well, dang. Well, I've struck out on putting the AMS unit down on the shelf next to the printer. So I'm going to give up for now. I just put a scrap piece of MDF board or whatever up there just to keep this guy sitting flat. I didn't like how it was sitting on the metal shelf all whomper-scompered. And for now, I'm just going to stick these guys up here. I'll have to connect them up later, but I don't want to keep spinning my wheels today on something that's not as mission critical. So for now, there we go. With that mischief temporarily managed, I can go back over here and turn my attention to this table and figure out what I'm going to do. I know there's going to be two things I'm going to do. Number one, move that roll around filament shelf, get it out of the way. That's also being phased out. It's not strong enough for storage and it's just in my way. The other thing I need to do is set up my dehydrator right here because that's what I use to dry all of my filament. And it's going to be really convenient to have it in this spot now because I can turn right here to the shelf, get my boxes, load them up, dry them. Once they're dry, they can then go to the printers. So I'm really excited about that one. As excited as one could be, that's me. So let's go ahead and start with that. Let's move this shelf out of the way and let's set up the dehydrator. Temporarily, and remember, temporarily, this is going to roll over there against the wall. Temporarily. These casters are almost pretty much shot after holding all the filament for so long. My other shelf collapsed on me just the other day, and hopefully this one's not about to do the same thing. It just has to last for one more trip around the shop. I'm not intentionally rolling it towards you. It's just wanting to go there. Hi. Stick with it. Stick with it. There we go. Now the H2D is thoroughly blocked in and of zero use. That's okay. It's still not hooked up. But look at this. Would you look at it? Ha! Filament station. One of the things that is on my to-do list is to come up with a better way to store products that need to be assembled or just store my products in general. I don't usually print to stock. Instead, I print to order. But on things such as this is an F1 laser adapter, I've got to print them. I also have to do heat insert presses, and so I try and batch them out. It saves time. It also means I have to store this stuff. And I'm not always pressing these. long story short, I gotta have a system. So you've pretty much seen my whole shop at this point. What do you think might be a good solution for this? I am definitely all ears, or at least will listen to your comment. I found myself something to store them in. A box. This is from my X1 Carbon H2D comparison video. This is the maximum print volume of an X1 Carbon. Now it's going to hold these. Okay, that actually worked really well because I can do this. I can take my heat inserts, stick it in the top, and my press tool. I'm not going to go in there. I don't want to scratch the products, but at least I can now take these two and travel. Travel to where? In the meantime, if you're wondering what this little guy is doing here, is broke. Broke as a joke. I've put a new extruder head on it, hot end, filament sensor housing and assembly, and everything. And I'm down to the point of what I need now is a new hot end heating element, because I think the wire connector, or rather I found the connector back here on the board is broke. Hopefully that fixes it, because this is only one of 7 A1 printers that are currently down. That's a whole other video, a whole other subject. So I think I have done enough damage and then damage control for one day, and maybe for one video. I was able to get the table over here cleaned up as well as I want. I definitely need the dehydrator there, right? It's a workflow thing. The photo booth, I really do leave up all the time because it is super easy just to crank it up, take some photos, and keep on going. So it's not something I ever take down, and the small portable factor of that makes it nice to live on a table. Of course, there's the broken A1 printer, and like I did hint a little bit earlier, unless I cut that out, that's one of 7 that are currently not operational for me in my farm. I don't know if they all have the same issues, but my initial troubleshooting of them on the shelf did not result in solutions, so they've been out of commission for a while, and now, at least since I have the table cleaned off, I can begin to fix them one by one. I'll try and also make that a video, especially if there is something worth pointing out, or at least, aha, here's a failure point of the A1s. Since I have so many of them, I feel like I do have the luxury of seeing how they work in general, what their lifespan is in general. So it'll be very interesting, I think. You can let me know if you think it's interesting or not, to go through these and at least say, here's the symptoms, here's what the ultimate fix was, and this is how many hours was on the machine, because that might give us an idea of the real lifespan of a Bambu Lab A1. It also feels really nice to have access to my new filament shelf yet again without having to move that roll around shelf back and forth. I still got to figure out a solution for the roll around shelf and put that filament somewhere, but at least for now, for today, I have access to the filament and I can get busy on loading and refills and drying them and stuff like that. With everything out of the way, you can kind of also see a better sense of how the shop flow kind of feels, or at least should look. Kind of like a library, right? I got my bookshelves of printers sticking out and then printers on the wall. This center portion being open is really good, and you may think that there's a lot of open space here in the middle, and hey, why don't you use that? But I'm usually not the only person out here working, so having room for people to move around and work around each other is pretty important. Plus, I need romp around space when I get into weird projects or randomly decide to destroy the shop within a single day when I should be running the business. And then to round out the space here, we got the new shelf, which looks great. Woohoo, yippee skippy, but honestly is not really doing what I want it to do, and that's holding more 3D printers, which are in the other shop waiting to be assembled and put on there. They are Bambu Lab A1 printers, so they are not anything special or different, so to speak, but just more of the same to help improve my game. Ah, did you like that? That's pretty cool. The P1S is going into the house with me as I leave here today because I'm putting it in my little desk area, because I think I may have said that earlier, but that's why it's not hooked up. Otherwise, the X1 Carbon is hooked up. It's going through its calibration since I moved it, and the H2D is just something to fix for another day. Otherwise, that's going to be it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed or had fun hanging out with me in the shop. I don't know. Let me know. I wanted to give you some kind of content because, like I said, I feel bad because I've not been making it as much as I really need to. And that's usually because I am out here probably 10 to 12 hours a day just working, fulfilling orders, and managing a business. So it's not all orders, right? There's a whole bunch more that goes into a business than just packing and shipping, but it's me doing it all. Either way, if you like the vlog, let me know. Maybe I can do more of this stuff. And hey, if you're still here, say, I don't know, elf on a shelf. That's stupid. But I'll know you at least watched till the end. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you guys next time in the workshop.